Ma once told me a Chinese myth about a man and his mother who lost her soul. The man went to unimaginable lengths to save her from the cruelest hell. Iron spikes stabbed his mother's emaciated body. My obedient son, she pleaded, but in all of his attempts, he still could not free her. In agony, he choked on his tears. My grandma was given a supernatural gift, cleansing spirits trapped in an abyss, performing ancient rituals with recipes for wandering souls hanged with a hunger they could never satiate. They begged, and the gift she's passing to me isn't a gift at all. It's a fucking curse.
Boom, there you go. That was a trailer for All Hallows Eve, available right now on Tubi as well as Fandango. I'm Kuya P. This is Nerds Rule the World. Joining me to talk all things All Hallows Eve is the executive producer on All Hallows Eve Trickster, as well as All Hallows Eve's Inferno, and Terrifier 2, that's out now, terrifying everyone, with Terrifier 3 out going on as well. It's everything scary. It's the spooky season. It's October. Steve, or should I say Uncle Creepy, when I was doing my research. Where did that, can we start off with the nickname Uncle Creepy?
Yeah, sure. It's a thing, man. What's really funny? When I was growing up, when I was like a little kid, about somewhere between 7 to 10 years old, I was a big comic book head. And I loved the horror comic books, right? So there was this one magazine called Creepy Magazine. And Uncle Creepy was actually like its crypt keeper. So fast forward decades, the internet becomes a thing. Everybody has a pen name. And as an homage to that particular comic book, which was so important to me, I picked the name Uncle Creepy. And had I have known the connotations that would come along with it in the future, I may have been a little bit more selective, maybe something else. But you know what? It's brought me nothing but good things. And it's also kind of gratifying for me when people do get to talk to me and they find out that I'm not really creepy. I'm just me. It's just like a moniker, man. And I'm very lucky to have it. And honestly, even though I said I would, I probably would never change a thing, because it's all led me to where I am talking to you right now. And that's an awesome thing, man.
Awesome, dude. I love that. As a comics creator, as a comics publisher and filmmaker and all of that, and as a fan of Creepy Magazine and all of that, I love that that's where that came from. So that's beautiful. That's dope. And I love your background as well there. So I think you and I are kindred spirits in regards to like scary stuff and films and all of that. And also because I saw that you're Dread Central as well. Like, you're the man.
I created Dread Central. I was editor in chief of it for 18 years, which is a long motherfucking time. And that kind of led me to where I am. The good thing about working with Dread Central was I got to literally meet all of my idols and work with these people that I grew up watching on TV. And also I was very lucky in that two of the people who became the most special in the world to me, my mentors, were George Romero and Sid Haig. That's like having those guys in my life as friends. It's like having Bigfoot think you're cool enough to know that he really exists. And they taught me so much. And being that I did Dread Central for so long, I was on hundreds of film sets, lucky to have been there. I've done hundreds of interviews, I've written hundreds of reviews. And it just was like a natural evolution to start really getting into the other side. And the first thing I went on to produce was Never Sleep Again, the Elm Street Legacy. And that is considered by many to be the horror documentary. And what a privilege to have worked on that as my first thing that I did. But holy shit, was that a friggin' lunatic asylum of a project. And years later, Dread Central was at the point where it was getting its own DVD label through Epic Pictures Group. And as such, Epic had taxed me with the task of finding the first movie I wanted to release under the Dread Central label. So I was watching like 100 movies, and brother, every one of them sucked, and it was dismal. And it's because filmmaking has become so easy. Like you could make a movie on your MacBook right now, but it's like just because you can give somebody dough, cheese, and sauce doesn't mean they could make a pizza. You know what I mean?
Well
So
said. Well said.
like Damien emailed me out of nowhere after he had filmed Terrifier, and he saw me give a quote to Rob Zombie for 31 at the time, and he emailed me. He was like, "Hey man, can you take a look at this for me? Can you give me a quote? I'm having a really hard time getting the word about this out there." So I watched Terrifier, and I was like, "Oh, okay, this is it." And I called him back, and I'm like, "Dude, what are you doing with this?" And he was like, "Nothing." I'm like, "Well, keep doing nothing and give me a few minutes, please." And I called Epic, and I'm like, "Never mind all these other movies. This is the movie. This is the one we have to lead with." I chose two movies that Dread Central presents. One was Terrifier, and the other was To Hell and Back, the Kane Hodder story. And I'm very proud of both of them. And the only problem was they didn't like the movie. They
Mm.
didn't like it at all. And, and I get it. At that time, Stephen King's It was huge, and the world already had their killer clown, and it was a constant fight with them to release the movie. And it got to the point where I said, "Listen, if this movie doesn't hit like I think it's going to hit, you can have my part of the company. I'll walk away." And they took me up on that because it was an easy way to get rid of me. It was like me
Yeah.
saying, "I'm out," right? And then Terrifier came out and it blew up, and I quit anyway, because fuck them. Anyway, I'm sorry.
All
Um,
good.
I'm a
Hey, I'm a
straight.
sailor, well, former sailor,
It comes out,
filmmaker,
man.
so
It comes out.
it's
And,
expressive.
yeah. So then I got the privilege of executive producing Terrifier 2, and that blew up. And so thankful for that ride. And then several months ago, Jesse Baget of Ruthless Pictures, he contacted me and he asked if I wanted to do an All Hallows Eve sequel. And I'm like, well, if we could find an angle that I think is exciting, yeah, definitely. So I went back and I listened and I thought, I'm like, what if everybody had that same chance that Damien had with All Hallows Eve to get their film seen by a wider audience, to have the right people see it and then go on to make a feature? And I'm like, I called Jesse back. I'm like, dude, what would happen if we just put out a call for pre-existing shorts, and we use that instead of having shorts made for the anthology? And my reason for that was simple. When you're an indie filmmaker, right, when you're doing your thing, the worst part about it is these short films have a very finite lifespan. They do their festival run, maybe they get carried on a website or two, and then they go and live and die, unfortunately, on YouTube or Vimeo or Daily Motion or whatever video platform somebody's using. And that sucks because filmmakers work so hard on their projects. And once they go to YouTube and the like, the best they could hope for is somebody runs across it out of happenstance because there's so much content out there, right? So I was like, if we could curate a collection of short films that are good and present them exactly like they are, one of the things that was important to me about All Hallows Eve Inferno was to be upfront about what it is. What it is essentially is like it's akin to a short film program that you would see at a festival. The only difference is you're having it in your house at your convenience, where you don't have to spend $38 for popcorn, right? And I thought that was cool because it would give these movies a second life, and it would make it so these filmmakers who worked so hard on their projects have the opportunity to get their work seen by a much wider audience. And even though I've done a lot in my career and I've accomplished a lot. And I'm proud of every single one of them, whether it was a failure or was a success. To me, doing this is one of the most important things I've done. And I say that because a lot of times you hear from people like, oh, you never know when the next Carpenter is going to come, the next Romero, the next Leone is going to come, the next Raimi. But I know exactly where it's going to come from. It's going to come from the indie scene because it always does. So to be able to give these filmmakers who've done these incredible things the opportunity to go a little bit further, it was just something I couldn't say no to.
Oh, I love that. You are speaking my language, as I said earlier, Steve. I'm a filmmaker, and now as a critic, where I'm on both sides, kind of commenting, and that's also why I became a critic, because when we're not working on films, I love this industry. I love film, and so that's why I wanted to support my fellow filmmakers. And so, what you're doing is God's work, Steve. To take that phrase, if you will, because it's how we uplift and we get the next generation going, and to have Damien becomes such a superstar. Like, I literally recently caught All Hallows Eve and then started diving further into it because of just, hey, Terrifier is coming, you got to start. And was behind the curve because of just so many other things. Even though I've heard such great things, I was behind the curve. And so I love what you and everyone on the team is doing with All Hallows Eve, as giving it a platform to filmmakers to be seen, and with Leone becoming a superstar, that just helps shine on everyone else. So just amazing stuff, sir. I have so many more questions, but I know your time is limited. All Hallows Eve, Inferno. Let's just do the quick promo drop on why. To me, you've already kind of done a great promo. Look at this next generation filmmakers. There's some great content of shorts within this new set. But if you could give the promo to my audience, if you don't mind.
What do you want me to say?
Why should people check out All Hallows Eve Inferno?
Well, I, as you said, I think I did cover that. Listen, filmmakers make films because they love it, and there's no greater compliment to anyone than when you meet somebody who really digs what you do, especially if you're a filmmaker. And I think the reason why it's so important is because film gives us the opportunity to step away from our regular lives and go someplace else for a little while. And when the world is as tumultuous and divisive place as it is, especially right now, to have the opportunity to escape, to turn your brain off and just take the ride, it's the only way as a person you could reset, and then you're ready to deal with the chaos of the real world. So to me, that's the most important reason to do anything, man. If it gets your head straight and it makes you happy and it's something you're passionate about, dive in with both feet, man, and enjoy it.
Well said, sir. Well said. Steve, we gotta connect again, because like I was doing my research. You've been Dread Central for years. This work that you're doing with All Hallows Eve, I think you and I come from the same cloth. I worshipped at the throne of Romero. One of the main reasons I wanted to get into filmmaking. I make my pilgrimage to Monroeville Mall every year. It's a mecca to me.
Mentors, dude. He was the coolest motherfucker on the planet.
Hell man. Yeah. I love it. But thank you for your time. Hopefully we can make some time in the future, man. But such a pleasure. Everybody.
Well, hang on. When you share this shit and you put it out there, you tag me so I know, so I could share it, and then we could talk about getting back together.
Hell yeah, and most definitely. Thank you, Steve, and my apologies to the PR team, but I love you all. Everybody, Steve Barton, EP on All Hallows Eve, Inferno, streaming right now on TUBI as well as Fandango. I'm Kuya P. This is Nerds Rule the World. All right. Thank you so much, Kaylee. I appreciate it. And Steve, my sincere apologies for running a little late.
Nothing to apologize for, my brother. Life happens. You know, I am actually very thankful that you're taking the time to come hang out with me for a little bit. So, no apologies necessary. Let's do your thing, man.
Awesome. Thank you so much. All right. Well, we're already recording. Again, thank you, Kaylee. Thank you, Steve. I'm going to count us in to help me with my edit because I'm putting the trailer right in front of the interview.
Okay.
All right, here we go. In a 1, 2, 3.